Lovely day to sit out in the garden. Now, I wonder why Toby's left all his toys out. I told him not to leave them lying around in the garden. If it rains, they'll all be ruined. Toby! Toby! I suppose I'd better tidy them up. Unless, of course, I use a tidying up spell. Of course, good idea. Good morning, Barrel.
Hello, magician. Are you going to cast a spell?
Yes, a tidying up spell. Toby's left all his books and toys out in the garden, and it's rather a muddle.
Well, if it's a muddle, you'll be wanting a colour beginning with the same sound as muddle, won't you?
Maroon. Oh, look, a maroon mudguard. Ha! This has come off my old bicycle, you know.
Well, you shouldn't have left it lying around in the garden, should you? It should have been tidied up a long time ago.
Yes. Well, perhaps you're right. Anyway, here you are. Now, since this is a tidying up spell, we need something beginning with T for tidy.
Tea. I'd love a cup of tea.
Thirsty again, are you? Very well. Here you are, Barrel.
Thank you. There's no milk in it.
Well, I prefer it without milk. Now, can you remember how the magic tune goes?
Of course. Blum, 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 blum.
Oh, yes, that's it. Right, all together then.
Blum,
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 blum, blum, blum. And now, the magic clap. I'd better do this myself, as you haven't got any hands. And now, the magic rhyme. Puddle, muddle, muddle, puddle, Toby's toys left out all day. Muddle, puddle, puddle, muddle, tidy everything away!
Magician! Magician! Magician, have you seen our things?
What things?
All our books and toys.
They were on the grass, and now they're gone.
Oh dear, and, what were they doing on the grass?
We left them there. We were going to tidy them away after we'd played a game, but they've all vanished.
I think I know what's happened to them.
Oh? What?
I expect the tidy bird's taken them.
The tidy bird? The tidy bird? Who's the tidy bird?
Well, I've never seen him because he's invisible, but he has got a red light on his head, and I've seen that once or twice.
He whistles as well, you know.
And what makes you think he's taken our things?
The tidy bird's always taking things.
Oh, that's right, you know. And there's a song about him. Gramophone, music. The tidy bird takes what the tidy bird sees. He takes it to his tidy bird nest. Then the tidy bird sits in the tidy bird tree and has a little tidy bird rest. With the tidy bird light on his tidy bird head and the tidy bird whistling sound, the tidy bird flies from his tidy bird bed, looking down upon the tidy bird ground. All together now, 1, 2, 3. The tidy bird takes what the tidy bird sees and takes it to his tidy bird nest. Then the tidy bird sits in the tidy bird tree and has a little tidy bird rest. Oh, hum, he has a little tidy bird rest.
Well, if the tidy bird's taken all our things, we'll just have to go and get them back. Where is his nest?
I don't know. I've never been able to find it.
Sarah, Geeta and Davy found it once. Would you like to hear how they did it?
Oh, yes, I would.
Very well.
Sarah and Geeta were playing in Puddle Lane when Mr. Go-to-Bed looked out of his front door. "Have you seen my spectacles anywhere?" he asked. "I was in the magician's garden yesterday, and I must have left them there." Before they could answer, Mrs. Pitter-Patter came up the lane. "Good morning, Mr. Go-to-Bed," said Mrs. Pitter-Patter. "Have you seen my red feather anywhere, the one I wear in my hat?" She looked at Sarah and Geeta. "You haven't taken my red feather to play with, have you?" she asked. Sarah shook her head. Mr. Puffle and Davy came up the lane. "Morning," said Mr. Puffle. "You haven't seen my paintbrush, have you? I've lost it somewhere in the lane." "I've lost my red feather," said Mrs. Pitter-Patter, "and I think the children have taken it." She looked hard at Sarah and Geeta. "We haven't touched anything," said Sarah. "We were just going into the garden to look for Mr. Go-to-Bed's spectacles. We'll look for your red feather, too." "You'll go with them, Davy, and keep an eye out for my paintbrush," said Mr. Puffle. The children went into the magician's garden. They hadn't gone far when the Griffle looked round a bush. Are you looking for something?" he asked. Geeta told him what had happened. "The tidy bird must have been in the garden," said the Griffle. "He tidies everything away so that you can't find it." "Let's look for him," said Davy. "You can't see him," said the Griffle. "He's invisible, but he has a little red light on the top of his head, and he whistles when he flies." They all hid behind the hollow tree and waited. "Here he comes," said the Griffle. "There's the little red light," said Sarah. "And there's his nest." The little red light vanished, and the children ran across to the nest and climbed up on a bench to look into it. "Here are Mr. Go-to-Bed's spectacles," cried Sarah. "And here's Mrs. Pitter-Patter's red feather," said Geeta. "I've got the paintbrush," cried Davy. They all ran back to Puddle Lane. Mr. Go-to-Bed was glad to get his spectacles, and Mr. Puffle was very pleased to have his paintbrush, but Mrs. Pitter-Patter was still cross. "You must have hidden it," she said, as they gave her the red feather, and she went off down Puddle Lane. "Listen," said Geeta. They saw the little red light going down the lane after Mrs. Pitter-Patter. A moment later, the tidy bird pulled the feather out of Mrs. Pitter-Patter's hat and flew off with it up the lane. "And that serves her right," said Mr. Puffle, and they all went off laughing.
Dear. Poor Mrs. Pitter-Patter. That tidy bird is full of mischief, isn't he?
It certainly is. Well, aren't you going to look for the tidy bird's nest?
Well, I thought I might check that I've got that story first. It should be in one of my little books, shouldn't it?
No doubt. But you left all your little books on the lawn, didn't you? And now they're not there anymore.
Oh, yes. I'd forgotten that. I know. I could look the story up in the big storybook, couldn't I?
Yes, if you like.
Thank you. Why don't you two go and play a game? I'll be back in a couple of minutes, and then we can go and look for the tidy bird's nest.
Right you are, Toby. Don't be long.
Off we go, then. Pencils and paper, pens and ink, the words shall appear before you can blink. Right. Right, let's see now. Mr. Gotobed was the first person to lose something, wasn't he?
Yes, he couldn't find his spectacles. Mrs. Pitterpatter had lost something too.
And that was?
I know. It was the red feather from her hat. I can remember what Mr. Puffin had lost too. His paintbrush.
That's right. Then the children started to look for all the missing things. And then they saw...
The Griffil. He said that the tidy bird had taken all those things and tidied them away. Is there a picture of the tidy bird? I'd love to know what he looks like.
Aha, you forget that he's invisible. No one knows what he looks like.
Oh, you can see his red light, though, and you can hear his whistle. Remember what you said in the song? With the tidy bird light on his tidy bird head, and a tidy bird whistling song. The tidy bird flies from his tidy bird bed, looking down upon the tidy bird ground.
Well done, Toby. You remembered that very well. Look, here's a picture of what Sarah, Geeta, and Davy saw.
Yes. What does the writing say?
The tidy bird flew into the garden.
And then they heard the whistle. That's how they found the tidy bird's nest and all those missing things.
That's right. And you won't be surprised to learn that the title of this story is The Tidy Bird.
And now I'm going to find his nest and get my things back.
Just a minute, Toby. Wait for me.
Right. Well, I know that the tidy bird's nest is in a tree somewhere.
I could have told you that.
Oh, which tree is it in?
Well, I don't know. We'll just have to look in every tree until we find it.
I'd better do that, since I'm the only one who can fly up to the trees.
Good idea, Mr. Hooter. And Maple and I can watch out for the tidy bird's red light and listen for his whistle. Off you go, then.
Just a minute. Supposing I do find a nest in one of the trees, how will I know it belongs to the tidy bird and not some other bird?
Oh, Mr. Hooter, think. What has the tidy bird taken?
Toys and books.
Yes, and where will he have taken them?
His nest.
Yes, so what will his nest be full of?
Toys and books.
Correct. So you'll know which is his nest, won't you? The one with...
Toys and books in it.
Correct.
I'm glad I thought of that. Well, let the search begin.
Right.
Hold on. Don't waste your time.
What do you mean? We're just going to find the tidy bird's nest so we can get our things back.
Have you looked in the gazebo?
That's silly, magician. The tidy bird's nest isn't in our gazebo. It's in a tree.
I know that, but I think you might get a surprise if you look in the gazebo.
Oh. My books.
The tidy bird didn't take them after all.
No, but he might well have taken them if someone hadn't tidied them away.
Yes, but who could have possibly... It was you, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. I used a tidying up spell.
Thank you for doing it, magician. We should have tidied up after ourselves, really.
Yes, you should. Still, the lawn's nice and tidy now, so I can go and sit in my deck chair and read my book. My deck chair! My book! It's gone!
It must have been a very good tidying up spell. It's tidied away your deck chair and book as well.
Oh!